having the total one chapter dual nature of radiation and matter, and weightage of 5 marks. And the second atoms, the first year they are having the chemistry, atomic structure is there. So it is also almost a similar model is there, atomic structure. And the third chapter nuclei, so which is related to radioactivity, nucleus, everything in the chapter will be covered. Next one more semiconductor electronics, one of the more weighted chapter in the second rank part. So and one more ray optics and optical instruments, and one more wave optics. But today we will start one chapter dual nature of radiation and matter. For PUC, we are having a weightage of 5 marks for the chapter. Either 5 marks theory question or sometimes 5 marks numerical will be asked from this chapter. So it is one of the important chapter. And first year already we are having one idea about this chapter. So what is the photoelectric effect? And what is the de Broglie wavelength? What are matter waves in chemistry? Already some part covered. I think in the physics having some elaborated concepts of that. And for NEET, one question compulsory will be asked from the chapter. And case set 1 or 2 questions will be asked. And the PU level, 5 marks theory question or 5 marks numerical will be asked. So that is generally dual nature of radiation and matter. So generally in physics, if we discuss, we are having 2 parts we can say generally. One is called classical physics. So one is nothing but classical physics, and the second we can say modern physics, which is also called as atomic physics. So classical physics and modern physics. So generally, what is a classical physics means? So physics before 19th century can be called as generally classical physics. So that is when we are discussing about the motion of the bodies in a straight line. For example, a car moving along a straight line with a 10 meter per second. So size of the car is not negligible, and speed of the car is not comparable to speed of light. So speed of the car may be 20 meter per second, 30 meter per second, or 15 meter per second. Very less speed only comparing to speed of the light. And the size of the car also not comparable to the size of the atom. It is very large. So whenever an object size is bigger than that of the atom, and it moves with a speed very less compared to the speed of the light, that kind of physics generally called as classical physics. So here only we are using classical ideas. So we can apply classical physics to only macroscope bodies. So bigger bodies, not atoms, not for electrons, not for protons. Only we can apply classical physics to generally bodies very larger than size of the atom, and which are moving with a speed less than very less than the speed of the light. So that is a classical physics. For example, you can say Newton's laws of motion. In the first year we have the Newton's laws of motion, we discussed it. So that Newton mechanics completely related to classical physics, and also Kepler's laws of planetary motion. When we are discussing about how the planet are moving around the sun and what is the shape of the orbit, everything we are discussing. So Kepler's laws also belongs to the classical physics. So physics before 19th century can be called as classical physics, and physics after 19th century can be called as modern physics, which is also called as atomic physics. So in this modern physics, up to date physics, day to day, now we are whatever you are using. In this modern physics, generally the size of the object very small compared to atom. So nearly comparable to atom, like the size of the atom is very small, and electron, proton, neutron. So very small particles we are applying in modern physics, and also the speed of those particles comparable to speed of the light. So physics before 19th century called classical physics, and physics after 19th century called modern physics. In a classical physics, we are using the size of the object very large comparing to atom. But in modern physics, the size of the object is very small, nearly comparable to atom or less than the atom. In a classical physics, how the bodies are moving very less than the speed of the light. Speed of the light already we know 3 into 10 to the power of 8 meter per second. But here bodies are moving very less speed. But in modern physics, the particles or objects are moving with a speed comparable to the speed of the light. That's the classical physics and the modern physics. So generally, almost in 19th century, so like different theories are put forward for explaining the different models in physics. Almost by the end of the 19th century, so what we thought means the atom is a very smallest, hardest particle, and which is indivisible. So according to the scientist Dalton, So according to Dalton, what is an atom is? Atom is generally the smallest particle, hardest particle, and indivisible. That means less than the size of the atom, there will be no other particle. So almost by the end of the 19th century, so it is only one idea about the substance or atoms. So atom is a very small and it is indivisible. We cannot divide atom into any other subparticles. So by the time almost all the scientists also thought that physics was ended. So there will be no need to go for a further step because atom only smallest particle in the universe. So less than the size of the atom, there will be no other particle. So the scientists thought at the time. But at that moment, one scientist, William Crookes, he conducted an experiment in a discharge tube. So the scientist William Crookes conducted an experiment in a discharge tube. So what is a discharge tube means? It is having one glass tube which is having two electrodes, one cathode and one anode. So you can take one discharge tube like a rough structure of the discharge tube. So we can take a glass tube, evacuated glass tube we can take, and on one end we are providing a cathode C or metal plate, so which can emit electrons or charged particles can be called a cathode, and other end with respect to cathode there is a positive potential which is called anode. So one end of the glass tube we are providing a cathode or metal plate, other end we provided one anode, and both the cathode and anode connected to on a high tension battery. So cathode connected to the negative terminal and anode connected to the positive terminal of the battery like this. High tension battery will be connected here. And our vacuum pump also can be connected. By using the vacuum pump, we can apply required pressure also. So it is a simple discharge tube. So in this discharge tube, whenever we applied a suitable potential difference, it is a high tension battery. By using a high tension battery, we can apply thousands of the volt potential also. When we are increasing the voltage gradually and the pressure gradually decreasing at a particular low pressure and a high potential difference, what Crookes observed means some of the invisible rays are liberated from the cathode and these rays are traveling towards the anode like this. So check this one. So in this diagram, left side C is called cathode and A is called anode, and it is a high tension battery, and this total tube is nothing but made of glass. It is a glass tube. So when we applied very high potential difference and also low pressure gradually are decreasing and the potential gradually are increasing at a particular high potential and a low pressure, some of the invisible rays emitted from the cathode and these rays are traveling towards anode. But these rays are named as cathode rays. So whatever the invisible rays are traveling from the cathode to anode are named as cathode rays. So but at the time William Crookes don't know. So what type of particles cathode rays contain? Like positive particles or negative particles exactly he don't know. But he only observed some invisible rays traveling from cathode to anode, and they are named as cathode rays. But after that, one scientist J.J. Thomson, he also conducted the experiment and he observed that the cathode rays are nothing but stream of electrons. So here, later after William Crookes, one more scientist J.J. Thomson, so he also conducted the same experiment. He analyzed it, and after observation, what he said means cathode rays are nothing but a stream of electrons or bundles of electrons or negatively charged particles. So cathode rays are nothing but a stream of negatively charged particles. Negatively charged particles, and later they are named as electrons. Negatively charged particles, and they are only named as electrons. So finally we can say who discovered electron? J.J. Thomson. So electron was first discovered by J.J. Thomson, and he also determined specific charge. That means charge per unit mass. Charge per unit mass is called specific charge. He only determined the specific charge of electron also. Later, one more scientist, V.A. Kant, he determined the charge of electron, and also he observed charge is always conserved. So Who discovered electron means we can say J.J. Thomson, and he also determined specific charge. Specific charge means a charge per unit mass. But later what we observed is less than the size of the atom, there is a small particle. But according to Dalton, so less than the size of the atom, nothing is there in the universe. But after discovery of electron, whatever Dalton's idea is there proved as a wrong. So less than the size of the atom also there is a particle which is called electron. Once electron was discovered with Thomson, the total physics was revolution started. So whoever the scientists thought physics was ended, it is proved as wrong. So that means less than the size of the atom is there means inside the atom something is there, like electrons or some other particles also there. That's why the physics revolution started almost at the end of the 19th century or beginning of the 20th century. That's why we are calling physics after 19th century can be called as modern physics or atomic physics. So this modern or atomic physics mainly deals about what are atomic particles, what are the subatomic particles, how they will be interacted, what are their uses, what are the applications. All this can be given by modern physics or atomic physics. So briefly, and derivation of the radiation matter also belongs to the modern physics or atomic physics. That's a rough introduction on this one. And now we can say what is atomic physics or modern physics. What is meant by atomic physics or modern physics? So it is one of the branch of the physics. No? Generally, atomic physics is one of the branch of the physics. We can say the definition. So the branch of physics, the branch of physics which deals about the branch of physics which deals about the atomic and subatomic particles. The branch of physics which deals about the atomic and subatomic particles and their interactions. The branch of physics which deals about the atomic and the subatomic particles and their interactions is known as atomic physics. Is known as atomic physics. So this dual nature of radiation matter also belongs to atomic physics. In this chapter, generally two parts are given. First part of the chapter about the photoelectric effect. First part of the chapter we can say generally photoelectric effect. In this photoelectric effect, no need to write. So what is the photoelectric effect and what is the Einstein photoelectric equation and what are the applications of the photoelectric effect covered in the first part of the chapter. And the second part of the chapter they covered about the dual nature of matter. In the second part we can discuss generally dual nature of matter. What is the dual nature of matter? What are matter waves? What is the de Broglie hypothesis? And how we can prove the matter behave like a wave. So this concept covered in dual nature second part and the first part about photoelectric effect given. Now, so what are the basic properties of electron? In this chapter mainly we are using about electron concept. That's right. What is an electron generally? Electron means it is a subatomic particle, that one of the basic particle or a fundamental particle which is inside an atom. So electron is one of the fundamental or basic particle. Electron is one of the fundamental particle or basic particle which is present inside an atom. And who first discovered electron? The scientist J.J. Thomson. He only first discovered an electron. And charge of electron E is equal to, we can denote the symbol with E, charge. Charge of electron E is equal to 1.602 into 10 to the power of minus 19 coulomb. C, capital C should write. Whenever name of the unit is named after a person, you should write the capital letter. So charge of electron E is equal to 1.602 into 10 to the power of minus 19 coulomb. This is charge of electron. Similarly, mass of an electron M is equal to 9.1 into 10 to the power of minus 31 kg. It is the mass of the electron very small. So 9.1 into 10 to the power of minus 31 kg, the mass of electron, and the charge of electron is equal to 1.602 into 10 power minus 9 coulomb. And if you divide both the electron charge and mass of electron, that is called a specific charge. So specific charge. Specific charge. What is meant by specific charge means it is nothing but ratio of charge of a charged particle to the mass of the charged particle. The ratio of charge of a charged particle to its mass is called as specific charge. So generally, if you take electron, so charge is equal to symbol nothing but you should write E, and the mass of electron is equal to M. That you write E by M. Or if you write for example specific charge S is equal, we can write the formula E by M. We can write. So any particle given, by using this we can find the specific charge. Here charge of electron unit coulomb and the mass of electron unit kg. Then SI unit of the specific charge coulomb per kg we can write. So specific charge SI unit coulomb per kilogram. So coulomb per kg we can write like this. For example, if you divide this charge of electron and the mass of electron, we will get a specific charge of electron also. So what is the specific charge of electron means it is equal to 1.602 into 10 power minus 19 by 9.1 into 10 power minus 31 kg by dividing you get 1.759 experimental value this one into 10 to the power of 11 coulomb per kg. So specific charge of electron 1.759 into 10 to the power of 11 coulomb per kg. Or for calculations, roughly we can use 1.76. So 1.759 is that we can round up this number to 1.76 into 10 to the power of 11 coulomb per kg. It is a specific charge of electron. So specific charge mainly depends upon nature of the particle, but not on the gas in a cathode ray tube or discharge tube. Only depends upon nature of the particle. Is electron, proton, neutron, alpha particle depends upon the nature of the particle. For example, proton given, how to calculate? For a proton, how to calculate specific charge? We should write the charge of the proton by mass of the proton. Generally, the electron and the proton, if you compare, how many times the mass of the proton is different? Mass of the electron is 1 by 1836 times mass of the proton. So proton is 1836 times more. So if I write for example here, mass of the proton is equal to 1836 times the mass of the electron. So mass of the proton equal to 1836 times mass of the electron, or mass of the electron is equal to 1 by 1836 times the mass of the proton we can write generally. If you know the mass of the proton and electron, we can also calculate it. So specific charge of the proton is equal to, so charge of the proton 1.6 into 10 to the power of minus 19 by mass of the proton 1.67 into 10 to the power of minus 27 kg. So we can calculate the specific charge of the proton by dividing these two values also. That equal to 9.6. If you divide this value, we get 9.6 into, so 10 to the power of 7 coulomb per kg we get. Or you can calculate also this value. Or if you know the specific charge of this one, in case of the mass of the electron, so we have to substitute 1836 also. We get the value. For example, if you calculate a specific charge of the proton is equal to charge of the electron by mass of the, should write mass of the proton, but the mass of the proton is equal to, should write 1836 into mass of the electron right here. So that is equal to E by 1836 into mass of the electron, that is equal to 1 by 1836 into, it is equal to E by M. E by M, E should write. So what is the specific charge of the proton means what we can write? 1 by 1836 times the specific charge of the electron. So simple. So whatever the value we got, if you divide the value with 1836, we will get the value of specific charge of the proton also. This is a specific charge. So electron discovered by J.J. Thomson and a specific charge of electron also determined by J.J. Thomson. So we can calculate the value also like this. In our syllabus not given, J.J. Thomson experiment actually not given, but for a NEET or JEE purpose the questions may be asked. In our regular syllabus there will be no concept of a specific charge of electron experimental are there. Only what is the specific charge and what is the formula and what is the value of the specific charge of electron only we should determine. But by using the Thomson method, how we get the specific charge? So we can write specific charge of electron by J.J. Thomson method. Specific charge of an electron. Specific charge of an electron by J.J. Thomson's method. By J.J. Thomson method. But for regular PUC purpose, no need to practice this experiment or no need to practice the derivation part also. Only for complete exams you can use the formula, whatever you are going to use here. So the simple apparatus used by J.J. Thomson is one discharge tube we have to consider, one evacuated tube we have to take. This is a Thomson method mainly used for the purpose of determining the specific charge of electron. It is the apparatus used by Thomson. It is the shape of the evacuated glass tube, and one end we are providing a cathode or metal plate which can produce cathode rays or stream of electrons or bundles of electrons. So this left side we can say it is a cathode C. And in front of the cathode we have used on anode, so which can collect the electrons or which can attract the electrons. With respect to cathode, it has a positive potential. So on anode we are providing with a small slit at its center, so that we can allow only a fine beam of electrons instead of all the electrons. A fine beam of electrons can be allowed. So A represents anode and C represents cathode, and the other end there will be one screen. That is a zinc sulfide coated screen, ZNS screen. That is nothing but either fluorescent screen or photographic plate we can use. So it is a screen, it is a place. And here are two metal plates you have to take. By using these two metal plates, we can apply a required electric field or potential difference also can apply electric field we can apply here. So the upper plate connected to the positive terminal and the lower plate connected to the negative terminal of a battery like this, so that we can apply a required electric field. And here one magnet also used. By using the magnet we can produce a magnetic field, required magnetic field also. And here both the cathode and anode are connected to one high tension battery, so that we can apply a high potential difference also, required potential difference from 0 to thousands of the volt also potential we can apply. It is a high tension battery, so we can apply high voltage also. So this total tube we can call as generally a simple discharge tube. Now first, whenever without applying electric field or without applying any magnetic field, just we have to switch on this battery and we have to apply a potential difference between the cathode and anode. At a suitable potential difference, some of the invisible rays are emitted from the cathode, and these rays are traveling towards anode like this. So here already we mentioned cathode rays are nothing but a stream of electrons or bundles of electrons, and these rays which are emitted from the cathode are traveling towards anode like this. But anode already having a small slit like a small hole, and all the rays which incident on the anode are not allowed to pass outside. Only the electrons which are moving through the slit will be allowed to come outside. And whenever no electric field and no magnetic field applied, all these electrons are traveling along the straight path and the instant on the screen at a point O. All the particles, all the electrons which are moving along the straight path, the instant on the screen at a point O. So it is only happening when no electric field applied and also no magnetic field applied. Now I am going to apply only electric field. So by using this battery, and we have to apply one electric field of strength E. Generally, what is electric field? For example, take a charge here, any charged particle. So around the charge up to some space, there is an electric field, the region. And in this region, the charged particle attract other charged particles, can also repel other charged particles. Same model, for example, if take a duster, around the duster there is some space which can have an attractive power, that is called a gravitational field. Same model, if take on a magnet, and around the magnet up to which it is able to attract other iron pieces, so can be called as magnetic field. So here we are applying on electric field. For example, strength of the electric field, if you want to say, E is equal to formula strength of the electric field, force acting per unit charge. You can write the formula simply, E is equal to F by E, we can write generally. It is the formula for strength of the electric field, where F is equal to electrical force. Note, right? F is equal to electric force on the electron, E is equal to charge of electron, and E is equal to strength of the electric field. Now, first I am applying only electrical field. Whenever one electric field applied, when the electron field is passing along the straight path, something of force acting on the electron, electrostatic force acting on electron. So because of this electrostatic force, electron has what type of charge? Negative charge. And here upper plate is a positive. That's why this positive plate will attract the electrons upwards. Automatically, the path of electron deviated and it is moving along this direction. It instant on the screen at a point O1. Observe this one carefully. When no electric field applied, electron field is moving along the straight path, instant on the screen at above. When only electric field is applied, so the positive plate attracting the negative charged electron. That's why the electron is moving deflected and it instant on the screen at the point O1. So that indicates something of force acting on electron. Now, when only electric field is applied, we can write here, when only electrical field is applied, when only electrical field is applied, what is the force acting? What type of force acting on electron means? Electrical force or electrostatic force. So electrical force acting on electron, we can write here. Electrical force acting on electron, F is equal to, I am writing F suffix E. It is nothing but electric force or electrostatic force acting on electron is equal to small e into capital E. So it is equation 1, we can say, where small e is equal to charge of electron, small e is equal to charge of electron, and capital E is equal to strength of electrical field. Capital E is equal to strength of the electrical field. Strength of the electric field. It is a force acting on electron and the electron deflected towards O1. Now, I am removing electric field and I am applying only magnetic field exactly perpendicular to the path of electron beam. Now, whenever only magnetic field applied, something a magnetic force acting on electron and the electron is deflected towards negative plate, which is equal to O1. It will strike the screen at the point of O1. So, in the absence of the electric field, where only magnetic field is applied, electron is deflected towards the negative plate side and instant on the screen at the point of O1. So that means something a magnetic force acting on electron and it is deviated its path and moving towards the point of O1. Now we can write, when only magnetic field is applied, when only magnetic field is applied. But in the diagram we have not shown any magnet. But inside there is a magnet and we can apply the magnetic field also. When only magnetic field is applied, some magnetic force acting on electron. What is the magnetic force acting on electron means? Here we can write Fm, and M indicates magnetic force, is equal to formula capital B, which is equal to strength of the magnetic field, and the charge of electron is equal to E, small e, and the speed of electron is equal to V. So BeV into sin theta. In our one chapter of moving the charges and magnetism, we have the derivation also for this formula. Force acting on a charged particle in a magnetic field is F is equal to BeV sin theta. But here how electron is how the magnetic field applied means perpendicular to the path of electron. Hence theta is equal to 90 and sin 90 is equal to 1. So we can neglect this value. Here theta is equal to 90. Since theta equal to 90, we can say sin pi pi or sin 90 is equal to 1. Then we can write the formula only. Fm is equal to BeV. So it is equal to second equation. Now check here. When only electric field is applied, the electrostatic force acting on the electron is equal to small e into capital E. When only magnetic field is applied, the magnetic force on the electron is equal to BeV. Here B means strength of the electric field, where B is equal to strength of magnetic field. B is equal to strength of the magnetic field. Already we mentioned E is equal to charge of electron, and V is equal to speed of electron. With how much speed electron is moving, it indicates. So V is equal to speed of electron, and E is equal to charge of electron. Now, in third case, check carefully. First case only we applied electric field. Second case only we applied magnetic field. And the third case what we are doing means both the fields at a time we applied. Electric field and magnetic field both applied perpendicular to each other. For example, check this figure, three-dimensional. It's x-axis, it's a y-axis and z-axis. For example, I am applying electric field along x-axis and magnetic field along y-axis. Whenever both are acting perpendicular to each other and both the fields are adjusted slowly until both the forces are exactly equal, and hence electron is moving along the straight path. So electric field try to pull the electron upwards and magnetic field try to pull downwards. Whenever both are equal and opposite, both will be nullified or cancelled. Hence electron move along straight path. So in third case, we can say both the fields are applied and both are adjusted and the electron is moving along the straight path. So that case will take. Third case, when both the fields are applied, when both the fields are applied, when both the fields are applied and are adjusted, both the fields are applied and are adjusted. When both the fields are applied and are adjusted until the electron is moving along the straight path. Until the electron is moving along the straight path. In this case, we can equate both the forces. Here, Fe is equal to Fm. So we are saying that both the fields are at a time applied and both are equated forces, and hence electron is moving along the straight path. Now equate first and second equations. First equation Fe and second equation for Fm. So Fe is equal to Fm, but Fe is equal to formula small e into capital E already given. And the second equation Fm means BeV. I'll equate here BeV. Any cancellation both sides? E can be cancelled. So both sides I am cancelling E. Therefore, capital E is equal to B into small v. Now take B also left side. We'll get B. Therefore, speed of electron V is equal to E by B. We can write. So speed of electron V is equal to E by B. So it is third equation. Third equation that is. But our aim is to calculate the specific charge of electron. But check in the diagram whatever you have copied already. Whenever electron is moving from cathode to anode, any work is done or not? Whenever electron is when we apply some electric potential V and electron moving from the cathode to anode, so here something of work is done. This total work done by the electron is in the form of kinetic energy. So how can we say it is a kinetic energy? Any particle is in a motion, it has a kinetic energy. That's why when electron traveling from the cathode to anode, the total work done is in the form of kinetic energy. So we can equate here. So when electron traveling from cathode to anode, when electron is moving or traveling from cathode to anode, electron is traveling from cathode to anode, the total work done is in the form of total work done is in the form of kinetic energy. Total work done by the electron is in the form of kinetic energy of electron. So we can write W is equal to Ke. But here W means a formula charge of electron into potential difference V. Here observe this difference. Small v is equal to speed of electron and capital V is equal to potential difference. Both are not same letters. One we are using a capital letter, potential difference. Potential difference means work done in a moving electron from cathode to anode is equal to potential difference simply. So here EV is equal to, but we know kinetic energy formula half m v square, where m is equal to mass of electron and v is equal to speed of electron. But a small e is equal to charge of electron and a capital V potential difference. So here take m left side and a capital V right side. So E by m is equal to v square by 2 into capital V. Here also we have to write the letters carefully. Small v numerator indicates the speed and the denominator capital V indicates the potential difference. Both are different letters. But already in third equation we have V formula. Small v is equal to capital E by V is the formula. Now I will substitute here. Substituting a small v from equation 3, we get, check substitute again, check what we get. E by m is equal to v place and substitute E by v. So that is equal to E square by V square, E square by 2 into capital V into V square. So it is a final formula for a specific charge of the electron. So E by M is equal to E square by 2V V square. So here E is equal to strength of the electric field and V is equal to strength of the magnetic field and V is equal to potential difference. By knowing all these values, so we can calculate the specific charge of electron by using a Thomson method. So in this, the value of specific charge of electron E by M is equal to experimental value 1.759 into 10 to the power of 11 coulomb per kilograms, coulomb per kg. It is the experimental value given by J.J. Thomson. So the specific charge of electron. So by using this formula, we can calculate any particle specific charge also, like alpha particle, electron, proton, whatever given. And by using the formula, we can calculate the specific charge also. So here, this formula, whatever we put in a box, are important for competitive exams. But PUC purpose, no need to practice this formula. Only for NEET or JEE or KCET purpose, you can use this formula. Important. And one more, E by M is equal to V square by 2 into capital V. The speed of electron and the potential difference. This formula also you can use for competitive exams. Important. And one more formula, V is equal to capital E by capital V. So this formula also we can use for competitive exams. So but PUC purpose, no need to practice this experiment and derivation. But whenever you are going to solve competitive exams problems like level 1, level 2, level 3 problems for NEET, JEE or KCET compulsory, so we have to use this formula. That's important. But at PU level they may ask the question, what is the specific charge of electron? Definition important. So here we can write the ratio of charge of electron to the mass of electron is called specific charge. And who discovered electron? One more simple question. J.J. Thomson discovered electron. And who first determined specific charge of electron? Also J.J. Thomson. So that we have to write. And what is the SI unit of specific charge? Coulomb per kg. And what is the value, experimental value of specific charge? 1.759 into 10 to the power of 11 coulomb per kilograms. That we can discuss simply.
అది పెట్టిన Audio friends.
And check your mobiles. I think a side there will be one PPT is there. One PPT is also displayed, and try to select that PPT. In that we are having one first page PUC to physics, and a chapter name given. Chapter name that is dual nature of radiation and matter. And if you go to the next page, we have given a syllabus. So check your dual nature of radiation, photoelectric effect, and in this chapter there will be first part of the chapter photoelectric effect given, and the second Hertz and Leonard observations and how they observed the photoelectric effect given, and the third Einstein's photoelectric equation. Next particle nature of the light. Next second part of the chapter matter waves, and also how de Broglie explained the relations given. And next one experiment given, Davis and German experiment given, and in that also only generally 1 mark question. So total weightage of the chapter 5 marks given. And the next page we are given what is electron emission in this chapter actually. What is atomic physics given? We already given the definition also. The branch of physics that deals with the properties and the interaction of the atomic and subatomic particles is called atomic physics or modern physics. So next electron emission and what are the types of electron emission, and we'll cover in the next class. And also different types of emissions given. Next, photoelectric emission, field emission, and different given. Next, now check here specific charge concept given, and if you check the screen, so the ratio of the charge to mass of charged particle is called the specific charge. So we can you can note down these definitions and important points also. The value of the specific charge of electron is given by E by M is equal to 1.759 into 10 power 11 coulomb per kg, and the electron was discovered by J.J. Thomson, and he also determined the specific charge of an electron. And one more, you are given the specific charge of an electron can be determined when electron moves in both magnetic field and electric field, which are mutually perpendicular to each other, so that net force on the electron is made zero. In this situation, the direction of motion of electron remain perpendicular to both electric and magnetic fields. Now here we mentioned what is the basic principle of the specific charge also. So the specific charge of electron can be determined by using when electron moves in both magnetic field and electric field. But how both will be means perpendicular to each other. Whenever both the fields are perpendicular, the net force acting on electron is zero. In this situation, the direction of motion of electron is perpendicular to both electric field and magnetic field. And here working principle also we mentioned here. When charged particle moves under the influence of only electric field of strength E, it moves towards the positive plate. In the diagram already we shown O1 point also. And in this case, electric force on the electron is equal to F is equal to small e into capital E. I think you already copied equation 1 in your notes. And the second one, only magnetic field applied. So Fm is equal to BeV. Next. Next, if both electric and magnetic fields are applied at a time and both are adjusted until the forces are equal. So we mentioned here Fe is equal Fm, and Fe place we substituted small e capital E, and Fm place we substituted BeV, and both sides small e can be cancelled. Then speed of electron is equal to capital E by capital B. But when sufficient amount of potential is applied between the cathode and anode, and electron is moving along the straight path. In this case, the total work done is in the form of kinetic energy. So we have shown here EB is equal to half mv square, and E by m is equal to v square by 2v. And if you substitute small v value from equation 3 in the above equation, we will get E by m is equal to v square by 2v b square. If you know capital E, capital V, and B, we can calculate the specific charge of electron. That's all.
Hello.